Hey guys, welcome back to another rapid update. In this video we're going to talk about antimicrobial resistance based on a report published by Health Information and Quality Authority in Ireland on the 28th of July. Stick around. So the Health Information and Quality Authority published this report on the economic burden of antimicrobial resistance in Ireland on the 28th of July. The purpose of this video is to reflect on the purpose of this report and to show you some of the figures and the results on this economic impact that are quite interesting. So beginning of the report starts with a very brief overview that antimicrobial resistance is a key issue. Microorganisms become resistant to antimicrobials, infections become more difficult and more expensive to treat. AMR presents a significant threat to public health globally, and they were interested in looking at the financial costs. More specifically, the purpose of this report was to estimate the current costs associated with select antimicrobial resistant microorganisms of public health concern in the public acute hospital setting in Ireland. So let's jump in straight into a couple of the figures that I thought was interesting. First relates to this over here, which is all infections by age and by group, and age running on the y-axis from top to bottom, so the very young to the elderly, split by gender, which is females on this end and males on this end over here. And what's first apparent are two issues: that the elderly are disproportionately impacted by antimicrobial resistance compared to the young, except for the group that is under 1 year of age, so the newborn and infants. And the other issue that crops up in here is that men are disproportionately impacted by antimicrobial resistance consistently across all of the age groups, particularly greater than 45 years of age. And this is concerning, and a point that I'll return to a little later on in this video. Another interesting insight in the report was the following, which is the incidence of AMR according to each antibiotic resistant bacterium combination. And here under the E. coli row is third generation cephalosporin resistance E. coli. Number of infections 1,853, but accounting for proportion of total AMR is 38.72, so pretty high. The next closest is Klebsiella pneumonia, so third generation cephalosporin resistant K pneumonia as well here, point referring to cephalosporin, accounting for 9.13%. So these two together, cephalosporin resistance in E. coli and Klebsiella pneumonia, is accounting for a pretty large chunk of AMR in Ireland, specifically again the acute care setting. Another interesting insight is on this page over here, which is the distribution of number of resistant infections on the x-axis, and on this end is the number of deaths, attributable deaths. And this here refers to third generation cephalosporin resistance E. coli. This is vancomycin resistance, enterococci, and this is methicillin resistant Staph aureus. And clearly the biggest circle over here suggests that E. coli, cephalosporin resistant E. coli, is the most important in terms of number of infections and also in terms of contributing to the total amount of death. A lot higher compared to MRSA, and in between that is vancomycin resistant enterococci. These three in combination are by and large the most important within the treatment care setting in Ireland. Another key insight coming out of this report were the estimated costs. So taking those same themes that I've just identified, third generation cephalosporin resistance E. coli, Estimated cost for bloodstream infections, respiratory tract infections, urinary tract infections, surgical site, and other. We'll define other in just a few moments. The largest contributor here was other, but then followed by bloodstream infection, of 1 million estimated euros, followed by surgical site infection. In the case of Klebsiella pneumonia, the largest contributor was other, and then followed by respiratory tract infection. So these in total accounting for 3.9 million euros, and Klebsiella pneumonia accounting for 1.1. Interesting to note here, in a euro kind of comparable amount, although the frequency of Pseudomonas aeruginosa is less, but carbapenem resistant infections accounted for close to 1 million. So this was an interesting result. Returning to the point that I mentioned a little bit earlier on about what other looked like, let's have a look at how they defined it. And these were infections across other organ systems and parts of the body. So digestive tract infections, skin and soft tissue, eye, ear, nose, mouth, bone, joint infections, cardiovascular infections, reproductive tract infections. And the other key insight is the expected total additional cost to public acute hospitals in Ireland in 2019 arising from excess length of stay associated with AMR was estimated to be 12 million euros. And the last insight that I want to end this video on was the following: is a disaggregation by age and gender of the different resistance for E. coli, Staph aureus, and here you see the same trend. So males disproportionately impacted, but the elderly as well, a lot more across all age groups and genders, that is, followed by Staph aureus, again males disproportionately impacted. Likewise here, males also disproportionately impacted, and as well the elderly, and that trend continues until you see far fewer cases, Pseudomonas aeruginosa for instance, and the others here at the bottom. The last point to highlight on this report related to the following is the groups experiencing the highest burden of AMR were males, especially infants under 1 year old, that I've already remarked on, and older than 65 years. To put this in context, and this is really important, to put this in context, this is similar to the burden reported in Ireland for certain cancers, malignant melanoma and blood cancer, and also rheumatoid arthritis. And when I read this and saw this, it really changed my perspective entirely on how we look at antimicrobial resistance in Ireland, and then also possibly applying the same perspective in other countries. So anyway guys, thanks so much for listening. I hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Take care.